So Tecno had already come out with a foldable device, and it was just a matter of time before we saw the flip device, and that's what we actually have today. We have the Phantom V Flip. Like every other foldable device, this is going to be compared with Samsung, and credit where credit is due. Samsung, being the first company that ever came out with a foldable device, has kind of in one way or another set the benchmark so that we can compare other phones to them. And I'm going to compare this to the Flip as well. You can compare this to the Motorola Razr as well if you want to. And if you ask me about what's special about this phone and why I should tell you to buy this, well, not really a lot except for one big thing, which I'm gonna reveal at the end of the video. But before that, let's go ahead and unbox it and see what we have. So we have the Phantom V Flip box over here. Comes with 256 gigs of internal storage and 8 gigs of RAM. We don't have the option to increase the RAM or any other variants. And the color that I see here is the minimal black, although this is not really the minimal black. This is the dawn color that comes with it. We also have some features that are mentioned over here. We have a MediaTek Dimensity 8050 processor. We have a 6.9-inch AMOLED display, and we also have another 1.32-inch AMOLED round display that's on the back, which is for widgets and whatnot. We also have a dual camera setup and also a selfie camera, which I'm going to go ahead and show you guys. Let's go ahead and quickly unbox this and see what we have. So we have the phone up front over here, and it has a bunch of instructions which I'm not going to go over, but mainly the instructions are about the protective film that this phone has on the front, on the foldable plastic display, which tells you not to remove it because it can actually damage the display. So we have the phone up front. We also have some, I believe this is the case, and we also get Tecno's 12 plus 1 month warranty, 13 months. That's not bad at all. Unfortunately, this is really not available in the UAE, but I'm doing this as an international review. If you can find it in your region, then you should be able to get 12, I keep saying 12.1, 12 plus 1 months of warranty. We have the case over here, which is a very fancy kind of looking case. We have this ring with it. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on in a little bit, and you can tell that we already have a camera cut out. And this actually reminds me of the Honor phones, because this is usually their signature look. But we'll go ahead and look at the rest of the details. We also have the charger over here, and I have to say that the quality of these boxes is really well made. I really like that. It's a little bit textured and almost feels like plastic. It doesn't feel like paper at all. So we have a 45-watt fast charger that comes in the box, which is good to see. We have fast charging included. And another unique feature about this is also the battery, which I'll talk about as we get into that. We have the SIM ejector pin here with the USB-A to USB-C cable. And that's pretty much all we have for the unboxing experience. Let's go ahead and take this out of the wrapping. And looking at the phone, again, this is just like any foldable device. If we talk about the color, for some reason the box says minimal black, but it's not really minimal black. This is more of a lavender color, a bluish color, and I think the official name is Dawn, something Dawn, I'm not sure. But yeah, this is what the phone looks like, and immediately the biggest thing that I can see is the crease, because this has a very big crease. It almost is fully flat, but I think the degree, if you measure, this is 178 degrees is what it actually folds to. We have this big camera module on the back, and Tecno calls this the circle planet display, because of how these camera modules and the flash module look like a solar system, I guess, or kind of like something that's revolving around a big circle, which would represent a planet with moons, something like that. I mean, I'm just letting you guys know. And immediately something that I also noticed is that it already has scratches on it. And yes, this is an unboxed unit. This has been unboxed already previously, but I mean, it's still a new phone, and I'm not really sure why there's already scratches on it. I mean, unless it was really roughly used, and maybe it's just the quality. Maybe it's not as scratch resistant. We also have this V logo over here, which initially I thought it was an A, and I started to wonder why it was an A, and I thought maybe Tecno had those custom features where you could engrave your initials or something, but then I was like, oh no, it's a V, it's not an A, so my bad for that. We also have the aluminum frame on this side, And this is a fingerprint scanner that's embedded into the power button. We have the volume rocker button over here. We have a stereo speaker, USB-C port, microphone. On this side, we only have the SIM ejector pin, and then we also have another noise cancelling microphone here on top. If we talk about the hinge, the good thing about it is that there is really no, there's no gap. But there's one thing about the hinge. So it kind of feels weird. It feels restricted, and not restricted in a way that you have to use force. You obviously have to use force, but it kind of, it's like there's something stuck inside of it. So like if you're trying to yank something out and it's stuck somewhere, it kind of feels like that. And you can actually feel it when you're unfolding it. Now, I don't know if anyone else has provided the same feedback or not. That's just me, and it kind of has a little bit of play. So I don't know if you guys can tell that or see that. I'm gonna try and show this in the camera, but there's a little bit of play there. And this is just out of the box. Yeah, that's something that I actually have a little feedback on. And one more thing is that the hinge kind of moves a little bit. I mean, I'm destroying this phone, but let's talk about the good things. So the good thing about this phone is that we have a pretty decent 6.9-inch AMOLED display, which is also 120 Hertz. So you have the option to actually tone this down to 60, and regardless of what mode you're in, it's gonna go down to 10 Hertz if you're not touching the screen. So that's good for battery saving purposes, but you do have the option of 120, 90, 60, and you also have the auto switch option, which will automatically change the refresh rate depending on what you're doing. This is a plastic display on the front, and the colors are pretty accurate. The brightness on this is 800 nits of brightness, which is pretty decent. One more thing about this is the resolution is actually 1080, full HD 1080p. So that's also, I guess, decent in today's time and age. One thing that I also wanted to speak about is the other display that we have over here. So this is also a 1.32-inch AMOLED display as well. And if you double tap it, there's something really cool that happens. So you have this feature of little cute pets and animals that you can actually customize. There's a parrot, there's a dog, there's a couple of options that you can select here. We have this little cat, and animations are pretty good. And then you also have different widgets. So you have your temperature, your weather, you have your calendar, you have your camera. And the good thing about the camera is that, I don't know if you guys can tell, but I can actually, in the folded state, I can take a selfie if I want to with the back camera. So I really like that feature. And if you go ahead and open it up, then it's also gonna show me my front camera. So it's gonna automatically transition from the back camera to the front camera, which is something that I really like. I'll talk about the cameras a little bit later on, but just something that I wanted to show you guys. We do have this back display as well, which can be used for widgets and different notifications. If we talk about the performance, this comes with MediaTek's Dimensity 8050 chip, and that is a new chip that's, at least on paper, it's a new chip, but it's actually more of a refurbished Dimensity 1300 chip. It is a 6nm based chip, so it's quite efficient. Maybe not as efficient as the latest 4 and 3nm chips that we have nowadays. But when we did the Antutu benchmark test, we got some pretty decent points. So 540,000. This also can go up to 560,000 depending on your settings, depending on performance mode. This is paired with 8 gigs of RAM. So this is the score that you're going to be getting with that. Unfortunately, there is no option to bump it up, or there is no other variant that you can buy which will have more RAM. So you're stuck with 8 gigs of RAM. Now, performance-wise, I think that's pretty decent. It's not bad at all, especially, again, for the price that this comes with, which is the biggest, I would say, benefit of buying this phone if you are in the market looking or trying to get into the flip device. And yes, this is a pretty decent phone to start with. And I'll talk about the pricings also in a little bit. This, however, is not really a gaming phone, so you're not really gonna... I mean, I wouldn't use this as a gaming phone. I mean, the flex of this is just that it's a foldable device, but yes, it is a very good everyday device as well if you want to use it. It's not going to slow you down by any means, but you can go ahead and play PUBG as well if you want to. But nevertheless, the performance is pretty decent. It's not going to slow you down by any means. and you're not going to feel like it's getting stuck or it's lagging in any way or form. If we talk about the batteries, which is also a pretty decent feature about this, is that this is probably the only flip phone that comes with 4,000 milliamperes of battery. That's, I think, 300 milliamperes more than even the latest Galaxy Z Flip 5, and I think that is pretty good, because normally on a phone that has this size, I mean, I'm pretty sure that only this is the part that holds the battery, and considering that they fit in a 4,000 milliampere battery in this size, I think is an achievement. Normally you see these phones with 3,000, 3,500, 3,700 milliamperes of battery at the maximum, and it's not only that the battery is big, but it's also pretty efficient. This can give you almost all day talk time, so it will last you a full day. And I think even video playback will give you between 13 and 16 hours of video playback, which is pretty decent. If we talk about the charging speed, then this does come with a 45-watt charger, which comes out of the box. And in 15 minutes, this was able to charge the phone from 0 to 50%. And 100% is going to take you about 40 to 45 minutes, which again, I think it's pretty decent. Now, last but not least, if we talk about the cameras, then on the back we have a dual camera setup. Now, the main camera and the ultra wide camera. The main is a 64 megapixel camera, which uses a Samsung ISO cell. So if you are a fan of Samsung cameras and Samsung quality, you're going to get the exact same quality with this one. Both of them have a Samsung sensor, the main 64 megapixel as well as the 13 megapixel camera. So camera wise, I think this is pretty good, and Tecno is known for their cameras. I was able to take some pictures as well, selfies, and I think it's pretty decent. I mean, this is a very good phone if you want to buy it for taking pictures, you know, social media, all that stuff. One of the things that I also like is that you can actually put it in the half folded state, and you can actually take a selfie if you want to with the front camera as well, or you can even if you switch it back, you can actually even take a picture of yourself in the selfie mode. You can place it like that and take a picture. You know, so if you're having a Zoom meeting or a Zoom call, it's pretty good for that as well, if you want to just place it and use it like that. And again, I also showed you guys the front camera, which can be accessed through this, the back camera, which can be accessed through the widgets. So if I go ahead and click on that, I'll be able to take a picture with the main 64 megapixel camera, which is pretty good to see. And again, the quality is already pretty much amazing here. I mean, the colors are pretty much accurate, and I really don't have any complaints about the camera. The front camera is actually a 32 megapixel camera. I should go ahead and mention that. And yeah, it is based on a punch hole design, so we don't have the disappearing and under display cameras that Samsung is doing. We have a simple punch hole design camera, which is again pretty decent. Now, what is special about this? Why should you consider buying this? Well, I mean, a lot of people like flip phones just because of the flip thingy. They're not really useful in any other way. It's more of like a gimmick, and you're also, a lot of the times you're compromising a lot of essential features that you would get on cheaper flagship level devices that you don't get on foldable devices, even though they are more expensive. And that's where the Tecno V Flip comes in, because this will cost you just around 2,000 dirhams. That's not really bad for a foldable device, a flip device that pretty much ticks almost all of the boxes that you want out of a phone that you want to use on a regular basis. And that's the main point about this phone. So if you want to get started, if you are looking to buy a flip device, then yes, I think this is probably the best option to buy if you don't want to really break your bank, if you want to stay within a budget. The only concern I have is that the hinge really doesn't feel solid. Although this is tested for 200,000 flips or opens and folds, but I mean, even just holding it in the hand, it's moving. It's kind of like, I mean, I can tell that there's a little bit of play, and just holding it in the hand, it's kind of, it's flexing. I mean, to use the proper word, it's flexing a little bit. So yeah, that's my review on this, but nevertheless, a pretty decent device. If you can ignore the big crease here, because this has a pretty big crease when the phone is turned off, you can actually really tell. But when it's on, then you really cannot, there's really no saying if this phone does have a crease. But nevertheless, that's my review on this. Let me know what you guys think about this. 2,100, 2,200 dirhams. Again, officially not in the UAE, but if you convert that into dollars, that's around $580 to $600 range for the Tecno Flip. So yeah, guys, let me know what your thoughts are, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.